Imagine if every generation had to start from zero, rediscover fire, reinvent ice cream, learn how to read all over again. Sounds ridiculous, right? So why do we do that with YouTube? The problem is that most YouTube advice comes from people after they've made it. You hear about what worked, but almost never about what kept them stuck. So this video is the advice I wish I heard while I was still failing. The lessons I learned from 3 years of YouTube, so you don't have to waste 3 years learning them yourself. Lesson number 1 is discipline over fun. Now this is the lesson that I've just learned recently because I was thinking about how whenever I'm studying, it does not matter what day it is, what time it is, it doesn't matter if it's rainy or sunny outside, I'm always disciplined in my studying and I always do the tasks that need to get done regardless of how I feel. But with YouTube, I've kind of tried the approach of having fun, and if I felt like it, I made the videos. If I didn't feel like it, I kind of just didn't make the videos ever. And so you can kind of see, therefore, this channel has taken a long time to grow and it is still in the beginning stages because I kind of just took it as a hobby, as a fun thing, and that is exactly how I also described it. But if you want to ever get good at something, you actually have to put in the effort and the reps regardless of how you feel, and therefore I'm trying a different approach this time, especially because it's a skill for a lifetime. Now of course we all wonder how long is it going to take for my channel to grow, and the approach that I took was I watched a lot of videos on YouTube for knowledge, but I also compared the sub counts to the video counts of people, and I just want to gauge how many videos I need to make in order to get which sub count, which of course doesn't make sense because there are a lot of different niches and we never know the backstory. So some people just don't post regularly, they're just making videos for fun and they don't have a career based on social media beforehand, so this is their first time just picking up the camera and filming anything because they've never done before. So they are starting at level 0 with 0 skills, and similarly to that, there have been months where I actually never ever posted, mainly because there were exams and I also didn't care about it much because it was just a hobby that I did whenever I had time. I actually didn't post for like a year or two in between as well, and when I posted, I would post massive amounts of content, like 10 videos in a month, which is very unsustainable. My approach was more fun based, or some people also have other things in their lives that are going on for them, and whenever we look at the channel, we only see the numbers, we never know the backstory, we don't understand the niche or the timing that video was posted in, and so there is a lot of information that is actually missing. The next tip is to get your reps in. So I had a TikTok account around 3 years ago before I started to do YouTube. For the first 2 or 3 months, I actually posted 5 videos per day regardless of whether it was the weekend or not, and because of that channel actually took off. On top of that, I actually posted for a couple of months after that until I just didn't feel motivated to do anything at all for that channel and I just didn't see the purpose in it, so I just let it go. But that channel actually quickly accumulated to around 10,000 followers, and just recently I looked at that channel again and I realized that I actually had 15,000 followers already, so I actually didn't do anything for the next 5,000 followers. So this just goes to show that putting your reps in will actually improve the channel and the quality of the videos that you make. Now of course there are reasonable things to look at. One of them is what niche you're posting your videos in, because if you're posting videos in a travel niche or a tech niche, yes of course the quality has to be really great. In comparison to that, with vlogs, people just want newest iPhone quality images or videos, so the competition might be a bit different, but you also have to be a bit more creative, etc. The next is to build a library of content. An existing library really does help you, and with the last example you can kind of see that I did not work for the last 5,000 followers at all. Like I ignored the channel completely, and yet you can still gain a lot of followers through that, because a lot of these videos might not find the right audience in the beginning. In the initial phase it might seem like a loss, but a lot of the times people believe in the almighty algorithm, but what actually happens is that video finds its audience later on, and so now YouTube is pushing this video in the exact same direction because it has realized that it does resonate with certain kind of people. That can happen to any video, even the videos you posted 6 months ago or 2 years ago, it can still find its audience, and that does really help the trajectory of your channel. It is really helpful to view your current videos not just as videos you're making for today, but actually videos that you're making for your future self and to help your future self propel in the right direction. Social media is extremely unfair, and I do not mean that in a demotivating way, but actually there is no linear graph. A lot of people think that if you make a lot of videos, it will also give you a linear growth, but what actually happens is that you're making content and it does not resonate with people, or it does not find its right audience, and so it does take a lot of time until you can actually grow that channel. But a lot of people just give up in the initial phases because they just believe that it's a bad idea media, they just don't want to make that, or it just isn't ever gonna be good. But that's with every skill. Whenever you start off with anything, you're not gonna be good at it, but over time you really do gain a lot of insight and you get better at it. With social media, you actually post and it doesn't happen, nothing happens until all of a sudden, once you find the right audience fit and once one of the videos goes viral, it uplifts all the videos from the video catalog. It really is true. It just takes one video to go viral and one video to actually reach your goals. I genuinely believe that 50% luck and 50% hard work is a really great equation. The reason why it's super important to realize is that you cannot move luck, but you can always move the needle on hard work, and that is the only thing you can actually change. So if your life is made out of 50% luck and 50% hard work, which means that you're not gonna take blame for everything that happens in your life, but you're also not going to ever be able to take full credit on what you have achieved. This equation does really reflect our lives, mainly because there was this study done where the same kids from one town were actually going to school in a neighborhood with a high income, but the second group was actually going to another neighborhood where the income levels were very low, and this actually changed the trajectory of the kids' life. A lot of kids going to the high income neighborhood actually ended up being high earners as well. So it does show you the effects of our environment. Just like when you're studying, it is going to be easier for you to study if people around you are students, if you have areas near you like libraries or schools or just any place where you can go outside of your house to study and just see other people studying as well. This shows us that our environment does shape our brains, our thoughts, our patterns, our belief systems, and that is something that we can definitely change, and in some circumstances you cannot change much. Also, I really love the book The Psychology of Money, and that displays a lot how our mindsets work, how different generations invest money and why they do that, and also how opportunities and luck that are presented to you really does affect how you will behave and the trajectory of your financial future. This shouldn't demotivate you, but actually tell you that there is no virtual comparison in this game, but everybody's playing in their own path with their own pace and with their own environments and the skills that they have. A lot of people like to ignore existing audiences with the same interests on other channels, and that really does help you propel from the beginning on. As you might already know, the first 100 subscribers are going to be harder than the first 1,000, and the first 1,000 will be harder than the next 10,000 or 100,000, and that really is true for social media all across the board. But what's really helpful is if you have a TikTok or any other social media channel where you already have an existing audience that has the same interest as your new channel that you are posting videos on YouTube for. A lot of these people will actually come from one channel to the other, so therefore it is way easier to build up the second channel. And that is another thing that people usually don't take into account whenever they're comparing themselves or watching other channels blow up, because we don't usually know the beginning stories, we only know what they are currently doing. So contrary to popular belief, I genuinely believe that there is no job wasted. Every job does matter. So even if you study something and then you study something else, or if you've done anything in your life outside of social media, that is super helpful. People don't have insights to other professions, so I personally don't know much about law firms, specifically corporate America, so I don't know what's going on there at all, and it is a lot of fun to get these insider scoops on things. Whatever behaviors and skills you have acquired in that first job will translate into your second job. So everybody sees YouTube or social media in a very different light with a different perspective, and it really changes the experience for all of us. Developing your sense of style will take longer than you think, and I actually thought I had found my style right in the beginning, but it does evolve over time. And even just going back and looking at the videos that I made in the beginning, they were a bit more childish. I was also younger. Then I experimented with red fonts, and in later on when I started to make other types of videos, so I am definitely always evolving and changing. You can take styles from different niches and mix and match them, so it does really look like your unique style. The goal is not the goal, aka the journey is the goal. And the reality of the situation is that you will always look back at the times of hardship and trial and realize that those were the times where you actually learned the most, where you have a lot of memories, especially if you try to balance it out with good memories as well as the hardships. And so the goal is actually to just keep building skills and to have fun instead of actually focusing on the numbers. It is not about the numbers, but the skills that you gain throughout this entire experience. And even if you have 100k views per video, you will inevitably get used to it regardless of how many views you get. The next one is that our memories are lies. I used to always think that the way memories are stored is that you take a memory, you put it in a drawer, and then you close it, and every single time I remember something, I open the drawer and pull that memory out. But that's not how our brain stores memories. The way it is done is that you take a memory and you kind of dissect it into different parts. You put it in different drawers, and then the next time you want to remember something, you pull out all these different drawers and you pull out the small memories and you put them together. But it's kind of like a puzzle that you can reshape and remodel, and every single time you remember something, depending on how you feel, the situation, even the day, really does affect how you view and reshape that memory. And so every single time you remember something, you're remodeling it, therefore you're reconstructing it. And the more you think about something, the more wrong you're thinking about it in a way. You never really know what happened. And a really great example for this is looking back at my videos. I thought that every single video was getting 100k, but then I looked at the account and I realized that a lot of the times I actually had 10k, but even like 100 or 300k. So it was like varying, and of course it depending on how often I posted and whether I was regular or not. But regardless of anything, it really is true that we don't remember the things as they were. We have changed a lot of these memories, and therefore we actually don't know what happened. This doesn't mean that you can't trust any of your memories, but it does mean that take every memory with a grain of salt. Timing matters, but you actually cannot change it. It's kind of along the concept of you have the perfect answer, but it is already in the past, so you can't really change or decide on the timing of whether certain ideas or videos will blow up. It is really important to take that into consideration whenever we're looking at past videos of other people and even ourselves, because a lot of the times when a certain video is made and it has a lot of views, it usually also means that that idea hit the right audience at that time, and some ideas just take a lot longer to find the audiences. And so for some videos it might actually be that it will blow up later on just because that idea will become famous later on in the year. Similarly to that, during COVID, a lot of people just had a high chance to blow up on YouTube or TikTok. A lot of people were just at home, and right now that's just not the case. So I do think we always forget the context or the history of when that channel was made or when that video was posted. The grass is always greener on the other side. We always like to glamorize or fantasize about how well it could have been or how well other people have it, but that's just simply not the case. And a really great example for this is around, I think, 2024 or 25, there was this huge wave of fees and fines just because people did post a lot of copyrighted music or playlists that they didn't know was copyrighted, and honestly a lot of it was unknown to people. But I actually never got fined because I just simply never posted. If I wanted to romanticize it, I could say, oh, I didn't post and therefore I didn't have the views, but the reality is I also didn't have the problems that came with all of that. And so of course you only know the problems of the current situation that you are in and the choice that you made, but you will never know the problems that would actually come with the other options. So of course it always seems like we see the best and romanticized version of the things we never did, but we only see the problems with the things that we have chosen. So I kind of just made this video as a fun video to give you insights on how it actually looks behind the curtains. It isn't there for you to compare yourself to others because you don't know the timing, you don't know the backstory. And even with my channel, I've kind of just relaxed and seen it as a hobby, which obviously would not make it grow at all. And that is something that I never took into consideration because I of course wouldn't know that, and I would always compare numbers but not the emotions that went behind it and the stories that are lost and never told by smaller content creators. And that's it for the video. Until next time, bye!